There are between 400,000 and 500,000 children under the age of 18 that perform farm work in this country. They come from all backgrounds, all walks of life. They work in various crops that are susceptible to hand harvesting, which is the majority of the food that we eat. Pretty much the gamut of the kinds of foods that we put on our tables may have been picked by children. Most Americans would be shocked to learn that those kids are not protected as well as children working in any other industry. Federal law prohibits anybody under 14, in most cases under 16, from working for wages. In agriculture, they are exempt from that coverage. Kids as young as 12 can work in agriculture, in some cases younger than that.
On some days it feels as if I was in an oven.
They can work in a 95-degree or 100-degree field 8 hours a day, 6-7 days a week during the summer, and we think that that is inappropriate in America in 2008.
Adiós, dígame por qué no quiero estar aquí.
We think of farm work as kind of an idyllic situation where you're out in the fresh air, enjoying the rich earth and the fruits of your labor, but the truth is, when it's a job, you're exposed to extremely hazardous conditions under difficult working situations.
I prefer to die because I don't want to be there working in the fields.
They happen to be working in the most dangerous occupation in America. Agriculture exposes children to dangerous pesticides, sharp tools, and enormous kinds of equipment that they really have no business being around it. In a place like Minnesota, where there are these huge beet fields, aerial sprayers come by and spray a field. And if you happen to be unlucky enough to be there when it happens, you're sprayed directly with pesticides.
We were working in a beet field, and a plane flew right over us and sprayed. There's very high rates of cancer.
Hay en otras partes que hemos visto que hay personas que tienen sus hijos que vienen sin nariz, sin boca, por los químicos que ellos mismos hacen.
Kids often don't dress properly for the job that they have to do, so they'll go out into a field barefoot. You get a little cut, pesticides infect that cut. Pretty soon you've got damaging infections that you wouldn't have had in any other situation.
I have been working in the field with my broken toe.
I got hit with the machete right in my knee. Like I hit it right there.
La hoja te pegaba en el ojo y te hacía bien feo el ojo y nomás dolía mucho y pues.
In addition, they're using sharp tools. We've talked with kids that are cutting onions, for example, in Texas and Colorado. They're using incredibly difficult tools that endanger them, not to mention the fact that they're working near enormous machines that can destroy a person in a heartbeat.
Last December, a 2-year-old child was killed in an orange orchard in Florida. Her 10-year-old brother was working with the rest of the family. He was driving a pickup truck that was hauling the trailer of oranges, and he didn't see his 2-year-old sister get out of the truck and slip in between the truck and the trailer. And so she was run over and killed.
Farm work is extremely low paid. In fact, I would challenge anybody to find a lower paid sector of our economy. Often people can't make anything close to a living wage, not even to the federal poverty level. That gives them an incentive to try and get as many hands out there as possible to bring in a little bit more money.
Como trabajador de migrante, pienso que no es suficiente el pago que están dando.
And so the temptation is, if you've got an 11-year-old who's able-bodied, what the heck? Let's go out into the fields, you can help out. The kids often want to help out. It's not a bad instinct.
Y tengo 6 años estar viniendo aquí al estado de Minnesota. Hace 6 años pagan a 22, 25 las labores. Y todos ellos todavía, ahorita te quieren pagar 22, no quieren subir más, 15, 22.
Now that could be 5, 6, 7, 8 people out there working on that acre. They could be out there for 2 or 3 hours. Now you split among 7 or 8 people. You're not making hardly anything.
Muy difícil, porque para levantarnos en la mañana, yo pongo mi alarma y a las 4 la pongo que suene como 3, 4 veces y nomás la oigo sonar, la apago y ya cállate o algo.
No me gusta trabajar, pero tengo que trabajar para ayudar a mis padres, para sacar mi ropa, para la escuela.
Children are working in the field because the parents are not paid well enough, and when you have a group of kids working together as a family, they'll be able to make a little bit more money.
The kids are driven by poverty of their families to choose work over school, or for their families to choose work over school.
Okay. Carmen, and Yongo.
Up to 2/3 of farm worker children drop out of school before they finish high school. That dooms them, in many cases, to a life of poverty.
A lot of kids have to drop out of school in April because the parent needs to come and work and getting prepared for the jobs.
They may be continuing to work in the fields, or they may work in a packing plant or produce plant, but in any event, they are not going to break the cycle of poverty if they drop out of school.
He pensado yo en ser drop out of school, sí lo he pensado.
Me tocó a mí pasar con mi hijo Frankie y con mi hija Yaresi, pelear desde que llegó de la escuela, desde noviembre, diciembre, hasta que salió, hasta junio, porque ellos no le querían hacer los créditos bien.
So a lot of the kids are destined to a life of poverty, ironically, by the very fact that they're working hard to help out their families. So that's really the driving force, is the low wages that people can earn, putting food on our tables.
Eso es lo que más a mí me duele. La educación me duele. Porque si tienes educación, no tuvieras que estar en el field.
There are a few things that would really help break the cycle of poverty that these children are caught up in. First and foremost, I think we need to end the discrimination against farm worker children in the law. Whatever the reasons, in 1938 that seemed to make sense to Congress to exempt agriculture from Fair Labor Standards regulations, they don't make sense today. These kids need to be protected the same as my children, the same as everybody else's children. To do otherwise is a grave injustice. There are ways to improve the lives of these kids. Farm work needs to be compensated at the appropriate level, at least at the living wage level. It continues to be a disgrace in America that the people that pick the crops that wind up on our tables as the food we eat sometimes can barely afford to buy that food themselves.
That's what you do every day in life. Just go back and forth, and there's nothing to look forward, because you know you're going to do this the next day and the next day.
I think we as Americans have gotten very, very kind of distant from how the food gets to our tables. Once people learn about how the food is picked and prepared, and that children are working in the fields, they usually want to do something about it. And the overwhelming majority of these children are American citizens. And they're just like every other kid around us. They want to help their families, they want to stay with their families, and they want to succeed in life. And we're doing the first two pretty well. They're staying with their families and helping their families, but we've cut off their ability to succeed in life. And I don't think that serves us very well as a nation.
Un niño migrante, para ellos no lo toman en cuenta, ni saben si existe o no.